All right, to start off this video with a quick disclaimer, everything I'm going to go over in this video, all allegations are alleged and just my opinion. Okay, so deciding to trust your home to strangers is one of the most daunting decisions for a would-be landlord. So, how does a home that has an estimated value of $170,000 become worth only $100,000, losing nearly half of its value? Part of the reason is choosing to trust your property to the management of a property manager. And in this case, we're going to go over my property in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that I trusted to a property manager under KeyRenter Property Management. A property manager is expected to do not only what they're contractually obligated to do, but also take care of your property. These were the promises, advertisements, and contractual obligations of KeyRenter property managers. So again, how does a home lose nearly half of its value? Let's go over some of the promises that were made. Here we have KeyRenter Property Management. This is a franchise property management company, and as you can see, they have uh, regions or entities across the United States. This is their primary main website for keyrenter.com. It goes over their locations, which I believe there are 66 KeyRenter locations in America. So this is just going over their primary website. So let's look at what they're saying that they do. Again, this is the primary website for keyrenter.com, a franchise. So this is the franchisor, I suppose, top quality property management services at KeyRenter. So this is what they're saying they do: marketing, tenant screening, leasing, maintenance, rent collection, financial reporting, legal guidance, condition reports. Now, please note what they're claiming services that they say they provide. There's a video of, I guess, one of the owners. So again, this video will also be used as posterity. There's a word I'm looking for, used for posterity, as I am currently suing KeyRenter Property Management, and we're going to go into why I'm suing them and also how my property lost nearly half of its value because of one of their entities and this franchise. So tenant, again, it goes over the services that they supposedly provide. These are the promises being made to landlords, property owners, and future renters. So as a franchise company, we have the actual franchise advertising these services. The franchise, not one of the locations such as KeyRenter Mainline Philadelphia, which was the one that I did business with, or another KeyRenter in another major city. This is the franchise advertising this. So we're just going to scroll down the page. KeyRenter Cares. I guess this is their volunteer work that they claim to do, donations, some type of philanthropy to make themselves look better. Meanwhile, we're going to go over why I don't care about any of that and how this franchise is extremely problematic. So this is their main website. They have edited since I have sued them. So as you can see here, what's going on with the FAQ. But we're going to go into own a franchise. So again, this is a franchise property management company. So I did business with KeyRenter Mainline, which is KeyRenter in Philadelphia, and that entity owner was Stephen Lieberstein or Lieberstein. Um, so basically, Stephen, you can just probably just contact the KeyRenter Property Management, the franchise, and I believe it's, I don't, no, thank you, Liz, and I believe it's $50,000 to go through their training program in order to open up a franchise under the KeyRenter name. So you pick a city, for example, Philadelphia, where there is no KeyRenter location or other property manager advertise or offering services in a certain area. Um, and Philadelphia is a very dense, very urban, built up area, row homes. So there's a lot of people, a lot of foreclosures, a lot of company flipper, or excuse me, home flippers. Um, so a lot of properties that uh, could be rented out. So there's high demand for property managers in Philadelphia. There's a lot of people, a lot of homes, a lot of opportunity. Here comes Stephen, and he contacts KeyRenter Property Management, pays them somewhere in the neighborhood, I believe it's $50,000 to start up a franchise, to go through their training. And boom goes the dynamite. You have a KeyRenter Mainline. Now, KeyRenter Mainline, their website is already gone. In fact, let's see. So KeyRenter Mainline is already gone, but KeyRenter Mainline's Facebook page is still up. So the Facebook page is still available, and they haven't made a post since 2023. It goes over the address that the business gave. So KeyRenter Mainline did exist, and it no longer exists. It closed down after the property manager, Stephen, pulled the runner. So basically, Stephen found KeyRenter, the franchise, paid them thousands of dollars. He was able to open up a location in Philadelphia using the KeyRenter name, and then he pulled a runner. I'm going to go into greater detail probably in another video of what happened with Stephen and my experiences with KeyRenter Mainline. But quick synopsis. I am in the military. I am active duty, so I cannot physically be in Philadelphia for long periods of time. And Philadelphia requires a local property manager. And you kind of want a property manager anyway, as being active duty in the military. I fly around the world. I can't focus on providing property management from abroad, even if it wasn't a requirement. So I signed up with KeyRenter Mainline, Stephen Lieberstein, to manage my property. They made all the promises in the world, including some of the services that were listed on the website here, on the KeyRenter Property Management website. Tenant screening, taking care of the property, collecting rent, uh, conducting inspections, all of that good stuff. Only to come to find out that he wasn't doing over half of those things. He was lying to me. He was not conducting home inspections, which is a big issue, which led to my lawsuit and how my property lost half of its value. He wasn't conducting home inspections, even though he said he was. He wasn't collecting rent and giving it to me. Um, the water bill fell behind thousands of dollars. So there was a lot of failures on this property management company. And then one day he just ceased responding after he fell behind on making rent payments to the landlord, i.e., myself. He just collected thousands of dollars, assumably in rents from the tenant, and then pulled a runner. After trying to get in contact with Stephen, I got in contact with KeyRenter franchise. I actually got in contact with the franchise before Stephen um, pulled the runner and ceased any type of correspondence, responding to any outreach. And then the franchise was well aware of Stephen's shenaniganery, and then also cut ties with Stephen and also told me to go fly a kite. So that's a quick rundown of what happened. I had a property manager who stole tens of thousands of dollars, wasn't living up to the contractual obligations. So super breach of contract. And then the tenant took advantage of the situation. I had to quickly find another property management company to sign on. And again, I'm active duty military, so I was actually across the country dealing with this. Um, so I had to find someone else to evict the tenant and finally get a hold of my property. So once we were able to get through the front door, the tenant had completely destroyed my property. Stephen completely lied about doing any type of home inspections, any type of managerial duties. The tenant was extremely behind on rent. The tenant was damaging the property. They had pets. There were people living in the property that weren't supposed to be living there. So Stephen was doing zero due diligence to take care of my property and to ensure that they were living up to their contractual obligations. So KeyRenter Property Management, the franchise, are making promises that they are clearly not keeping. So that's why it's a big deal that these services that this franchise is advertising, which has changed. Um, I have been in litigation with them for a few months after Stephen pulled a runner. So this website did change. So that's why I'm making this video for posterity in case they continue to make any future changes, because I'm going to reveal some pretty suspicious activity by Key Renter franchise. Again, everything is alleged. I just, as a property owner, find what I have looked into by researching this, and I actually discovered this not that long ago. Um, I discovered that there is a problem, in my opinion. I believe that there is a problem, and we're going to go over those things in a quick second. I just needed to show the website, show what Key Renter franchise website is currently advertising. So at KeyRenter Property Management, we pride ourselves in comprehensive and professional service package that is tailored to meet our clients' specific needs. Our property management scope extends beyond traditional landlord responsibilities, offering a full suite of services that cater to today's diverse real estate market. So now we're going to get into the bread and butter of this. So this is the franchise website. Take note of what it looks like, how it's built, and we're actually going to go back to the franchise page, even though this is also the franchise page. I guess it's KeyRenter franchise.com page. And this scrolling bar is what I want to pay attention to. This scrolling bar. So this scrolling bar would suggest that KeyRenter franchise is affiliated with these entities. That's what a common person would assume, seeing this being seeing these icons advertised on the website. So again, take note of the design of this website, some of the things that are advertised and how they're advertised. So Better Business Bureau, VetFran, Franchise Registry. And for the franchise, again, for the franchise, I believe some of these are true. I believe I looked it up, and a long time ago, I believe one of the key renter businesses is associated with VetFran. VetFran may not want to be associated with Key Renter after I'm done with my video series, but so far, I believe that the franchise, again, the franchise, which is, I believe, headquartered in Utah, is associated with VetFran. But take note of what's not here on this website and what's not here on keyrenter.com's website. Where is that scrolling bar? I'm going to hit the home button. Here it is. It's not scrolling, but here is a list of, or a display of several icons of entities that would insinuate a level of credibility. It insinuates some type of oversight, right? Being associated with the Better Business Bureau, Realtor, NARPM, Equal Housing Opportunity. So we're actually going to go into some of this. But again, take note of what's here. Primarily, NARPM and Realtor. These two we're going to go further into. Or actually, it's NARPM. So take note of NARPM. We're definitely going to go into NARPM. Take note of how this is displayed on the website. So KeyRenter Mainline Philadelphia, their site is no longer there. So if we click on locations, again, when I contacted the HQ in Utah and made them aware that there was an issue with Stephen in Philadelphia, um, shortly thereafter, Stephen um, ceased any type of response. The business shut down, and KeyRenter quickly removed KeyRenter Mainline from their list of locations. Just he was just gone, as if he never existed, just gone. And then they did not want to speak with me regarding the situation that was left behind, the mess that I then had to clean up. And that's why I'm suing. So let's pick one. Let's go with San Diego. Let's check out KeyRenter San Diego. And if you notice, same kind of logo bar here, logo image, font, colors, and all that's changed is it's KeyRenter Property Management San Diego, KeyRenterSanDiego.com. Very similar website, build page, green matches, a lot of similarity between the franchisee and the franchisor. So we're just going to scroll down again, same services or very similar services displayed very similarly to the franchise. And here we are with the scrolling bar with very similar looking icons of association or affiliation, realtor, NARPM. So I've been hounding on NARPM. So what is NARPM? Or at least I call it NARPM. I don't know whatever somebody else calls it. I call it NARPM, the National Association of Residential Property Management, or Property Managers, excuse me. So let's go to their website. So here's their website. The National Association of Residential Property Managers aims to elevate the property management industry by providing professional development, ad- advocacy, and community support for its members. It focuses on raising standards of business ethics, professionalism, and fair housing practices within the residential property management field. So that's typically a rundown of what NARPM is and why use a NARPM member. So here's why a property management company would want the NARPM insignia on their website. Because according to the website, NARPM property managers have heightened experience and industry knowledge to assist them in doing the best possible job, ready to stress less and earn more from your rental properties. Excuse me, ready to stress less and earn more from your rental properties. It's all about how you read the sentences. One tracking that was a question. Look no further than our NARPM property managers. Armed with in-depth industry know-how, they tackle ever-changing market and legal landscape like true professionals, making sure everyone benefits. From maximizing your property's income to ensuring day-to-day operations run smoothly, they're here to make rental management feel like a breeze. So here we have NARPM, I'm going to keep saying NARPM, stating why or kind of so here we have NARPM giving out how do I want to say this? Here we have NARPM stating why a property manager would want their insignia on their website, right? Why a property management company would want to be affiliated with NARPM because apparently there's something to be gained by having that insignia on your website. A NARPM member stands apart from other property managers and landlords. That's the important line because having the NARPM member insignia on a property manager's website suggests credibility and due diligence. But are all property management companies advertise this insignia actually members of NARPM? For KeyRenter, for some of their locations, that's not always the case. And we're actually going to look into this. So right now, who do we have up? We have KeyRenter San Diego. So let's check NARPM. See if we can find, there we go, search for a property manager. And we're going to look for KeyRenter San Diego. San Diego's in California. KeyRenter San Diego. Now, who is the owner of KeyRenter San Diego? Let's see if we can find. That's not what we want. We want to the About page. There we go, our team. Sorry about this. This is going to be a very dry video. Again, this is for posterity because, again, I'm suing KeyRenter, the franchise, because KeyRenter mainline Steven Lieberstein, he pulled a runner. Like nobody can find him. He's just gone. He took probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, and ran. I am not the only victim of Steven Lieberstein, so I'm going to make some videos to get it out to other people to hopefully inform others of what's going on because I do believe that this franchise is getting away with harming landlords and allowing landlords to be harmed. So here we have Farah. So let's see if her name shows up anywhere in NARPM. They're advertising it on their websites. So there's a lot of them. So we're actually going to type in KeyRenter and see if she shows up. And there she is. So this person, KeyRenter San Diego, the owner or president, does show up in NARPM. So one would be left to believe, common person would be left to believe that this is a legitimate insignia to have on their website. It's not only the owner's name, it's also the business name. So let's try another one. So we're going to try another location. Let's see what we have on the map. DC. Let's try Annapolis, Maryland. So here again, this is a very similar design. And there's the NARPM insignia and also the National Apartment Association insignia. So this is KeyRenter Annapolis displaying membership or affiliation with NARPM and the NAA. Let's see if we can find the team or the owner information. Ryan Davis. Okay, so let's check NARPM. I'm going to choose Merlin. And we're also going to keep KeyRenter. So here we have KeyRenter. This is all the KeyRenters, by the way. Right now, that's all that's in the search bar. The state actually wasn't selected, so that's all that's in the search bar. And there's 5 pages. 5 pages of businesses with KeyRenter in there. And note, again, all of this is alleged. this doesn't tell us when they became members, right? So something could have happened, and for example, for Knoxville, they've actually been a business for. This is just an example. They've actually been in business for 5 years, but for NARPM, they've only been members for 3 years or something like that. So just because they're here doesn't mean they've always been here when the business was first uh, initiated. So we're looking for Annapolis. All right, so we have a problem. In NARPM, where we're trying to find a member or a property manager associated or affiliated with NARPM, typed in KeyRenter for the state of Maryland, we only found one, and that's the Metro Property Management KeyRenter version or KeyRenter franchise, not franchise, KeyRenter member in Upper Marlboro. We're not finding KeyRenter Annapolis. We're not finding, let's check for Ryan Davis. No, nothing found. So here we have the start of the problem. Let's check for Rodney. The fact that we cannot find it under their business name already suggests an issue. Nothing found. So nothing for Rodney and nothing for Ryan. Nothing for KeyRenter Property Management Annapolis in NARPM in a basic search. Now, this does not mean that KeyRenter Annapolis is not affiliated with NARPM. It's just in my basic search, which is an average homeowner, an average researcher, you would expect to find, like we did with the other franchise, or excuse me, the other entity, KeyRenter affiliate, we found NARPM membership. Why can we not find NARPM membership for KeyRenter Annapolis? So this is just one example. Let's see if we can find another. Because, like I said, this video is going to be very dry, but I'm going to make an even drier video after this one where I'm going to go through each location. I believe that, again, there's 66 KeyRenter locations nationwide. Let's go cross country and find somebody. Okay, let's go to West Seattle, where I'm going to go through each location and verify their affiliations. Again, now we're at KeyRenter Property Management West Seattle website. Very similar design, similar colors, similar build, similar promises. Cookie cutter. Cookie cutter to each other, copy paste from each other, as well as the franchise itself. This is to help affiliate that. Actually, I'm not going to say what it does. So, similar banner or similar scrolling page, right? So, similar insignias. Some of them are very familiar. NARPM, NAA. So they're claiming affiliation with NARPM because I don't know why you would have their insignia on your property management page if you're not affiliated or a member of that property management affiliate group, right? If you're not a member of this entity. So let's go back. Let's see who's the owner. So we have Cliff Hack as the owner. So let's see. Oh, but here's Rodney Fentress. Isn't this interesting? So Rodney is in NARPM, but for KeyRenter Hampton Roads in Virginia. So we're going to do a quick search here because I'm doing this live, by the way. We're doing it live. So Hampton Roads. See? I don't know the zip code for Hampton. No, it doesn't give me. So Virginia Beach, I don't happen to know but we can do a search. Control F is your friend. Ham. Here we go. Isn't this interesting? This is an interesting find. So KeyRenter Hampton Roads in Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, is in NARPM, but not Ryan Davis and not for that KeyRenter location. So what does this mean? It can mean a myriad of things. But that KeyRenter entity that's advertising its membership to NARPM is not for uh, that entity. It's for this entity because this is the entity that's associated with Rodney's membership. He doesn't have two memberships for one for each entity. I don't know if he needs two memberships, or why one could have been under his uh, his partner and this one under him. But they're both advertising NARPM, so that still is an issue in my opinion. So Hampton Roads is advertising the insignia of being affiliated with NARPM, and Rodney and KeyRenter Hampton Roads is in NARPM, but his other location isn't. So what does that mean? It can mean a lot of things. The law is pretty clear when it comes to some of this stuff. Just because you're affiliated with two businesses and you have a license or affiliation for one of your businesses doesn't mean both of them automatically are affiliated with that entity, right? So I would suggest that there's still an issue with that. So that was an interesting find. Well, we're going to go back to KeyRenter Property Management, West Seattle, and it's Cliff Hack. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing people's names. That's why I'm usually sticking with the first name. It's no disrespect to anybody. So we're going to type in KeyRenter again, and West Seattle is in the state of Washington, and we're going to do a search. So Cliff Hack, KeyRenter West Seattle, does show up as being affiliated with NARPM. So that insignia seems appropriate. But what about a few other insignias that are showing up here? So we have the NAA, and what is that, Realtor? So that Realtor insignia shows up on, I believe, all of the entities, KeyRenter locations that we've looked up. So let's look up that logo. And I believe that stands for the National Association of Realtors. So let's look them up. So here's NAR. All right. So as we see here, as with many of the locations, they're advertising. Didn't mean to click on that. They're advertising affiliation with NAR. So let's look at NAR. So what is this? That large block R logo and the term realtor is a protected trademark of the National Association of Realtors. It can be used by members on websites, but with specific guidelines to ensure proper usage. I believe that's according to NAR. I'm reading off some research I did here. Only members of NAR and their authorized entities, like member boards, can use the realtor marks. Now, I don't know if KeyRenter franchise is a member board. I don't know what a member board is. Um, I just find it interesting that the franchise has a set design page, and so far all of the um, entities or franchisees web pages look very similar to the franchise web page. And not only that, they're cookie cutter to nearly, or they're very similar. There are some minor changes, perhaps modernization, maybe some have updated their websites, but they're fairly similar to each other, extremely similar to each other, including the insignias that they're advertising on their web pages. So some have more affiliates in that scrolling banner. Some banners don't scroll, and there's only a few affiliates. But as we've seen, there's some commonality in insignias that we've seen in those banners. So let's see here. So NAR, National Association of Realtors. Let's see if we can find if this KeyRenter location is affiliated with NAR. Here's NAR's website. NAR produces and analyzes a wide range of real estate data that can help guide your business and your clients. Again, research reports, housing statistics, information that would make you, a business owner or a landlord find that insignia more agreeable. Code of ethics. So again, borrowed credibility here. They're affiliated with a group of realtors that have a code of ethics. So how can we see? Let's see if we can find a member. In fact, let's click on the realtor code of ethics. Look at all this important stuff that would make a landlord more comfortable with doing business with a business that's affiliated with NAR. Essentially, that's what that insignia would suggest. Seeing insignias at the bottom of a web page makes you more comfortable with doing business with that entity. So let's find a member. We want to find an office. So let's just type in KeyRenter. That's not the right place. Okay, so we're doing a search for KeyRenter in NAR, and these are the ones that show up. 27. 27 KeyRenter franchise locations, franchisees appear to have some type of affiliation with NAR. Now, remember, before I believe the count was 66 KeyRenter locations or franchisee locations exist in the US. So 27 out of 66, approximately 66. So we are looking for, let's go back, we're looking for West Seattle. We're going to go through the list here. Do we see KeyRenter West Seattle? And on the next page, we do not see KeyRenter West Seattle. So KeyRenter West Seattle has the logo, as the insignia of affiliation with the National Association of Realtors, but I cannot find that they are a member of NAR. That's not to say that they're not. Here's Hampton Roads. Hampton Roads also had the insignia. So he's affiliated with both NARPM and NAR. But KeyRenter West Seattle has both NARPM and NAR and is only affiliated that I could find in a basic search with NARPM, advertising both, but I can only find one. So here's another insignia, the National Apartment Association. So let's see. if they're affiliated with the National Apartment Association. So, what is the significance of the National Apartment Association? Let's see if the website will tell us. Why would somebody want to put that insignia on their website? So, I did some research the other day, and I'll just read it. So, the National Apartment Association is a leading voice and advocate for the rental housing industry in the United States. Its significance lies in its mission to serve the interests of multifamily housing owners, managers, developers, and suppliers while promoting professionalism and ensuring the availability of safe and affordable housing. The NAA achieves this through advocacy. I am not going to get that word out. The NAA achieves this through advocacy, education, and collaboration with its members and affiliates. So that was some research that I did to get the significance of the NAA. Again, lending credibility to a property management company having that insignia on their website. This is why those insignias are there, to chain their property management company to these affiliated businesses that lend some type of ethics, research, care, growing education, um, but most importantly, it lends credibility to the property management company. So let's find an affiliate. We're still in West Seattle. So we're just going to put in the zip code for uh, JBLM, which is the installation that's in Washington, one of the larger military installations. And in Washington, this is what we have. We have the Washington Multifamily Housing Association. Okay, let's try not using the zip code and see what we can find. We're just going to give KeyRenter West Seattle the best option, the best opportunities to show themselves as possible, showing all Washington affiliates. And it again, it's just Washington Multifamily Housing Association. So this is the state of Washington. We found one. So KeyRenter West Seattle isn't advertising affiliation with Washington Multifamily Housing Association. I don't know what their insignia is. They're advertising the NAA. So what does that mean? I don't know. I'm not making any definitive statements here. I'm just researching these insignias that are being advertised on a property manager's website as having, which would lead a client, a landlord, potential tenant who believe that this entity, KeyRenter Property Management West Seattle, have some type of affiliation or membership with these insignia entities, with these other organizations, with NARPM, with NAR, with the NAA. And from the research that I've done, that may not be true for all of those organizations. And that could be evidence of a much larger issue. So when I contracted with KeyRenter Property Management Mainline, which is Philadelphia branch or Philadelphia franchisee of the KeyRenter franchise, they also had some of these insignias. The website's now gone. I plan to see if I can get video footage and make another video of that website also for posterity to prove that this entity or these entities are advertising things that are not true. I also plan to contact the NAA and some of these organizations um, regarding this issue. I wanted to record this video first before evidence starts being removed or altered. Um, Note, again, I'm not saying definitively if these companies and or persons are or are not affiliated with these organizations. I am conducting a simple search. These companies are advertising something that the average client would see as a suggestion that they're affiliated with these organizations. And yet there appears to be a pervasive issue with this franchise and its associated entities, including nearly identical insignias of associations. Some of them have on their websites, and they are not actually affiliated with these organizations. And I repeat, nearly all of the key renter entities are listing these insignias, regardless of actual affiliation. Um, so let's look at one more. We're going to do it live. I have no notes on this right here. So we're just going to go back to the KeyRenter main website. And there are kids playing next door. So forgive me if you're picking up some of that. Let's go to Oklahoma. So Oklahoma City. Again, very similar website. Very similar information. Same images. This is copy paste. So how can these entities that are across the country have nearly identical websites? Very similar. Some have some extra insignias in theirs. But here we are again. There's NARPM. There's NAR. And they do not appear to have the NAA. So that's very interesting. Maybe they swapped out the NAA for a different insignia. But they have NAR and NARPM. And this is KeyRenter Oklahoma City. Let's see if we can get some information on the team. CEO. Okay. Typically, the first person is the owner or the person who probably started the franchise. We have a CEO and a COO. So Matt Zulk and Robert Davis. So let's go to NARPM. And we are in Oklahoma. And there's Matt Zulk. KeyRenter Tulsa. Okay. I'm not familiar with Oklahoma, but okay. So Matt Zulk is in NARPM for KeyRenter. So we're looking for Oklahoma in NAR. I'm looking at the states, and I do not see an Oklahoma in NAR. So let's go back. Let's make sure we saw what we saw. There's the R with Realtor underneath. That is their logo. That is their insignia. For NAR, it matches that right there. Oklahoma City. I could be wrong. It looks like KeyRenter Oklahoma City, KeyRenter Tulsa is not in NAR. In my basic search, to confirm whether or not in an attempt to confirm if this entity is affiliated with NAR, I am seeing that they are not. So I'm not an attorney, never even seen a bar, let alone passed one. But this franchise is making false promises and false advertising, and that should qualify for a class action lawsuit. Can somebody help me with this? I am but a single property manager, or excuse me, a single property owner. I am but a Can somebody help me out here? I am but a single property owner. I bought my house in Philadelphia. I fixed it up myself. Um, and when I entered the military, I didn't want to sell the property, so I rented out my property. And it's been a nightmare ever since. The worst decision I've ever made was signing my property over to a KeyRenter franchise. My property is listed at approximately being worth $170,000. I had a realtor go and check on my property, and they stated that it can't even be sold as a normal home. It has to be sold as a fixer-upper, as is. That's how much damage was done to my property by a KeyRenter Property Management franchisee. KeyRenter Mainline, Stephen Lieberstein. KeyRenter Property Management, the franchise, has been of no assistance, relatively no assistance in dealing with this issue. I am making this video for posterity, but also to warn other people. I understand that my video is not great. It's not flashy. It doesn't have a lot of edits. I'm probably going to cut some of this stuff out, some of the boring bits and pieces, but this is for posterity and to warn, if not inform, other potential victims who may not know they're victims, other even franchisees who are unaware of what they're actually doing, what they're advertising, the false advertisement that they could be making, the fact that the franchise will allow franchisee to just up and vanish and leave a slew of victims in its wake and just offer them no assistance whatsoever, take zero responsibility. That's the experience that I believe I'm having with the Key Renter Property Management franchise because I'm suing them. It is August 2025, and there is existing litigation between myself, a single homeowner, and a franchise that has locations all across America. As we've seen, 66 locations across America. So they have a lot of money. They have a lot of money to spend on attorneys. So what needs to happen is please look into whether or not you have any affiliation with Key Renter Property Management, whether or not you are a property owner and they're managing one of your properties. Contact your uh, your franchisee, your manager, and double check. Are they fulfilling their contractual obligations? Are they advertising things that they're actually affiliated with? Are their services in compliance with what your needs are? And are they doing them? Because my experiences is that I was being lied to for years. And then one day, my property manager, one of the franchisees, just decides they're going to commit fraud. They're going to commit a felony and steal, presumably, hundreds of thousands of dollars from presumably multiple victims. From me myself, it's tens of thousands of dollars. Just up and vanish, and the franchise is saying we're just going to cut them out of our website and pretend it never happened and they never existed. And I do not believe that Key Rental Property Management, I made sure they were aware of this situation because I've been trying to get assistance from them regarding this situation. I do not believe that to this day, Key Rental Property Management, the franchise, has informed those clients of Stephen Lieberstein of Key Renter Mainline in Philadelphia, has informed those victims of anything, has reached out to assist, to find another property manager, just nothing. Stephen popped smoke, and property owners are left holding the bag. Victims. I cannot be the only victim of this person. I do not believe I'm the only victim of this person. He literally popped smoke, just one day vanished. And I've received zero assistance from KeyRenter Property Management franchise, any valuable assistance from them whatsoever. No information outside of having to sue them for information. And that could happen to any other clients of any other KeyRenter franchise. What is KeyRenter Property Management's responsibilities if KeyRenter West Seattle decides to start siphoning some money from clients, and then one day the owner or whomever vanishes with that money? What stop gaps exist? What roadblocks exist? What due diligence is KeyRenter Property Management, the franchise, doing to ensure that these franchisees are remaining in compliance with whatever their standard operating procedures are, whatever their ethics are, whatever the requirements are? They're saying they're doing tenant screenings. How is the franchise doing tenant screenings? You're the franchise. How is the franchise doing maintenance? This is the franchise, keyrenter.com. This is not for a specific location. It says maintenance. Your advertising services that I did not receive. Legal guidance. I didn't get legal guidance. I got a property manager that up and popped smoke and stole my money. KeyRenter, different dedicated property management services. I didn't receive this, but it's on your do the right thing, period. That is the complete opposite of what I experienced. I was lied to. The property manager wasn't doing home inspections. The tenant destroyed my property. Nearly half the value of my property is gone. So why is keyrenter.com, which is presumably the franchise, because as you see, KeyRenter Property Management, no city behind it, own a franchise, is being advertised. So this appears to be the franchise website. Why is keyrenter.com advertising services, but yet claiming in I'm actually not going to go over what they're claiming in my lawsuit because again, it's ongoing, but I'm making note of what their website says. Your website, keyrenter.com, I'm speaking to you directly. Your website says these things. It says these affiliations. Your website design looks like this, and the franchisee's website designs also look like this. Own a franchise. I'm probably going to do another video going more in depth on owning a franchise in the future, but that's not the primary goal right now because I need to get these videos out as soon as possible. One, to warn others, and two, to see if this does need to be a class action lawsuit. Because there's a lot of franchises or franchisees of KeyRenter Property Management advertising affiliations that I don't believe they are actually affiliated with. KeyRenter Property Management franchise itself's website are advertising services and making promises that they are not keeping. And I also believe that there are other victims out there of some of these franchisees. So I'm probably going to do a video of, so let's see, startup costs, going further into this. So yeah, there it is, $50,000. So it costs 50. So Stephen paid more than like this. This is my this is what I believe. Holy moly, don't know what just happened there. So Stephen paid KeyRenter the franchise $50,000 to create a franchise. Pick the location, Philadelphia, for example. You pay them initial franchise fee, 50K, training fee, 5K, marketing startup package, 10K. So you're paying $65,000 and somewhere in that neighborhood of 65,000. Oh, see, let's see. Startup costs for KeyRenter Property Management franchises range of 116 and $240,000. So Stephen paid the franchise goo gobs of money to open up a location, to be affiliated with KeyRenter, the franchise. And what did the franchise do to ensure that Stephen was a worthy enough candidate? Because that's what they're saying, ideal candidate who's a fit, who has the proper background. Because I'm very curious on what background check they did on Stephen and what ongoing checks were they doing for each franchisee to ensure that they're maintaining uh, proper uh, business models, um, due diligence, licenses. That is I just remembered, that is a big deal. What is Key Renter Property Management, the franchise, doing to ensure that their franchisees, folks that paid them over $100,000 to start a franchise, are doing to maintain proper licensing? Are they, do they even do checks, or is it just financial collection? Stephen just paid them their handouts of money, and then the franchise did nothing to ensure that Stephen didn't pay for a license for 1 year, get the franchise, and then fall off, because it was always the intent to defraud, to take money and run, to create a client base, build up some money, and then cut and run. What did Key Renter Property Management do to ensure that that's not what's happening? And then if it does happen, what is Key Renter Property Management going to do about it? And so far from what I've seen, they haven't done any due diligence when it came to Stephen. Any ongoing due diligence, let me put it that way. I do not believe they did any ongoing due diligence. They didn't warn clients before or after Stephen popped smoke. When he stopped being in compliance with whatever their standards were, their PTPs, paying his dues to the organization, maintaining his licenses. Did they even care if he maintained his licenses? Because I can tell you, he didn't. He did not maintain his license. Again, all of this is alleged. All this is subject to change once further research is done. I am not an attorney, but in my opinion, he did not maintain his license. It looks like, from what research I've done, he did the bare minimum to get the franchise. And I do believe his intent always was to commit fraud. But even if it wasn't, why is Key Renters franchisees advertising the same organizations and affiliations if they're not part of those organizations and affiliations, if they're not members of those entities, if they're not members of NAR? All of their, excuse me, I'm not going to say all, but most of the websites that we've looked at, each franchisee has a very identical website to the franchise, almost as if that's the starter page that you paid for. Maybe it's included in the $100,000 in the startup cost. Here's your website. Here's some of the icons, and they just don't change it. I don't know. But a lot of Key Renter franchisees are advertising the same affiliations and memberships. And as we've seen, not all of them have those same memberships and affiliations. And that's just NAR, NARPM, and the NAA. We haven't even talked about licenses, realtor licenses, business licenses. We haven't even talked about those. I'm making this video to start raising questions about this franchise and start making people more aware, because as we've seen, they're nationwide. So that's a lot of victims. They're in major cities: Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Dallas, Houston, Phoenix. They're in Denver. They're in major cities. Chicago. So that's a lot of victims. So as you can see here, the one that's in Pennsylvania now is Doylestown. There's not one in Philadelphia anymore. They erased him quick, fast, and in a hurry. So I'm making this video again, for posterity. I know I'm repeating myself. I know it's super dry, but this is for potential use in court for myself and potentially for others. Because again, I'm going to make another video looking at each uh, franchisee's advertised insignias and seeing if they are actually affiliated with those entities, with those organizations. Mainly, it's going to focus on NARPM, NAR, and the NAA because it looks like this is proof of false advertising. So I'm trying to make people aware of this franchise. It's not to bring this franchise down. It's to do the right thing when this appears that this franchise isn't interested in doing the right thing. I have a property now that's lost nearly half of its value because of greed. Um, and all he had to do was manage the property. And finding a good property manager in Philadelphia, there's a lot of them. There's a whole list of property managers in Philadelphia, but finding a good one is hard to do. And here I am, a victim of a extraordinarily bad property manager and their lack of a tenant screening because the tenant that he put in my house was clearly not someone that he should have rented to. Because I will likely also do a video of a before and after of what this person did to my property. Some of the things that this person did, I just don't even, my brain can't wrap around some of the damages, why anybody would ever do that to someone else's house. And I never bought this house with the intent to rent it. It was supposed to be my home. And I will never live in that house ever again. I refuse. I will never live in that house ever again. So, with that being said, if you are a client of KeyRenter, any franchise, I hope this was of value to you. And if you were a victim of Steven Liebenstein, KeyRenter Mainline Philadelphia, or if you're a victim of another KeyRenter franchise that may have done this, again, KeyRenter, the franchise, who my knowledge has done nothing to inform people that one of their franchisees went rogue. They've done nothing. So there's no information out there. So that's why I'm making this video to get the information train going so that people aren't taken for granted. People aren't, you don't become a victim like myself. And if you are a victim like myself, we now can get in touch with each other so that we can put the pieces back together. Wow, that was really bad. So we can start working together to put the pieces of our lives back together. How about that? Because again, and if you're an attorney or if you're somebody who knows one of the attorney generals for Philadelphia or for Pennsylvania or for any other state and somebody has an F to give, please assist. Please assist. Because this definitely looks like a class action lawsuit. This definitely looks like a class action lawsuit, if not nationwide, then for the folks in Philadelphia who are victims of Stephen Lieberstein, KeyRenter Property Management, KeyRenter Mainline, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I lost $70,000 minimum. Please check out my future videos regarding this situation. Um, if you want to reach out, feel free to do so. Again, I'm active duty, so I may not get back to you immediately, but if there's any assistance anybody can provide, please reach out. Also, please comment in the please comment in the comments. Please comment anything, any your thoughts, especially if you are familiar with the situation um, in Philadelphia or KeyRenter in general. Peace out and take care.